have at least a 200-day reserve. Let's see, 6 million times 200 days equals 1,200 million gallons of fuel in tanks. Stokes County is going to have fuel tanks the size of the ones at Greensboro Airport near Dan River. On the east side of the site, a rupture goes directly into the dam. On the west side of the site, the fuel goes directly into Town Fork Creek, which goes into the Dan River. So you know what type of people we're dealing with. Let me show you one of the tricks they use. Data center owners often bring in generators on trailers and leave them on trailers for years claiming they're temporary. There are very few regulations on temporary trailers, but there's one big thing. Those children's lungs don't know they're temporary. They really don't care. They love money. If not forced to, they will not do what is required to make the surrounding areas livable. It has to be written down and enforceable. Delta will not be like the data center in Maiden unless forced to. Thank you.
Savarsky.
Thank you. My name is Sri Ananda Sarvashri, and I live at 1060 Tyler Road in Walnut Cove. At the last commissioners' meeting, we heard two of you say to effect, "How can I vote on this thing? I don't understand the technology. I don't understand what I'm voting for." And you were right. You didn't understand what you were voting for. Now you need to amend the zoning with additional restrictions. I believe that all of us were put on earth to do God's work. Whether we do God's work or the opposite depends upon our choices. There's a saying, the devil is in the details. The community was pushing for time, a moratorium, to discover those details that could protect the people and the environment of Stokes County. You are not engineers, so it's understandable that you could not understand what you were doing. I am an engineer. I have a 5-year degree from LSU in engineering physics, engineering sciences, which includes electrical engineering, mechanical engineering, civil engineering, material science, thermodynamics, and advanced mathematics. I produced a document with some excellent editing by my wife entitled Data Center Analysis. You have it. It's a document on the due diligence that you should have done or created a moratorium for a team of experts to do. So I produced that due diligence document that showed how we could amend the zoning ordinance to protect the people and the environment. If there's going to be a data center, it should be one that we cannot see, we cannot hear, we cannot smell, with no detectable infrasound, that will not poison us or the land with toxic chemicals, that will not drive away wildlife, God's creatures, or tourism, that will respect the heritage and quality of Stokes County. This is an absolute necessity. You cannot let promoters determine the specifications of such a facility. You cannot allow a fox to design the hen house. You have to do it. You have to be strong and do God's work. Use the data center analysis document. Data center promoters have lots of money, billions. They can afford to do things right, and you must require them to do things right. If you do that, we could have something that I cannot say would be God's work, but at least it won't be the devil's work. God does not create evil. All the evil in the world is created by humans who don't care, who don't understand, who are influenced by greed and corruption. Do not put yourselves in that category. If you create something that we are not proud of, your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren, and the people of Stokes County will despise you. This is a caution for you to step back and think. Think not only with your mind, but think with your heart. Do God's work. Thank you.
Satyajit.
Good afternoon. My name is Sadajit Ananda, and I live at 1060 Tyler Road in Walnut Cove. I'm here because I recently sat down and read your code of conduct that you all signed when you took office. And it says that you will uphold the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of North Carolina. But it also states that you will show respect to all of your constituents, any person that you come in contact with. It goes through a long list of, the people that you work with, and then down and down and down. And then it comes to us, the little people, the people that rely on you. And I feel like sometimes people are not paying attention, especially at the last meeting. There was a lot of people that looked like they were getting bored with listening to the speakers. And I would like to ask you to put down whatever you're doing that has nothing to do with what's going on right now and pay attention to the people who are speaking to you. That is what the Code of Conduct asks you and demands for you to do. I've also heard that people have been trying to call you, they've been sending you emails, and they've not gotten any response or reply, even after repeated trials of contact. And I would like to ask you to respect them and to reply to them and to get back to them and show them due diligence in what you're doing. Historically, people were governed by a group of elders. The wisest members of the community were the ones that were entrusted with making major decisions for the good of all. Everyone knew everyone, so they knew who they could entrust with their lives and their livelihoods. In modern times, governance has changed dramatically, and there's no longer the small community looking to the elders. A much larger population has to choose from people that most of them have never even met, and they don't know anything about them. However, the ancient idea that we are entrusting you to protect us from harm still remains. It's inbred, it's almost part of our DNA, I think, at this point. We trust our lives and welfare to the decisions you make, and you have a moral and legal obligation to do just that. You have some very important and life-altering decisions to make in the weeks to come. Please don't take these decisions lightly. Sadly, the time of our elders watching out for us has passed, and the wishes and needs of the community are often ignored for the almighty dollar and corporate greed. Some time back, there was a fad for some cheap rubber bracelets with the initials WWJD. That stood for What Would Jesus Do? What do you think he would do in this situation? He did not put up with the tax collectors setting up in the temple. He threw them out. He did not bend to their enticements. He knew what was morally correct and did not hesitate to act on the crimes he was witnessing against God and the people. In all your decisions about Stokes County, not just the data center, although that is uppermost in almost everybody's mind right now, you should be asking yourself this very question. Whether you use Jesus' name or not, just the idea of upholding what is morally and legally just and right is the thing to do. Who amongst you is brave enough to follow the example of Jesus? Who amongst you will stop the tax collectors from destroying Stokes County, Walnut Cove, and its inhabitants?
Matthew.
Matthew Poston, 2537 Dodgetown Road, Walnut Cove. I yield the remainder of my time to Andy Bowline.
I am Andy. Good afternoon. Can you all hear me?
Yep. Yeah.
All right. My name is Andy Bowline. Full disclosure, I live in Forsyth County, but I am running for the state senate seat here that covers parts of Forsyth and all of Stokes County. I've been attending the community meetings and the latest planning board meeting around Project Delta, and Saturday a friend drove me through the proposed site. Then Sunday I watched a PBS report about the Stargate data center in Abilene, Texas. I had a hard time picturing what Project Delta would actually look like at full build out until I watched this video. This is 22 minutes long. The QR code is in the bottom of the handout, and I think it is worth everybody's time in understanding what Delta could be. The handout compares the two. I won't read you a table, but they're in the same league, and the site proposed here is actually larger in land area. Now, I'll give ELS some credit. The refiled application has some real conditions in it. Noise limits with independent testing, no open loop cooling, no pulling water from rivers, from wells, and those matter, and they're in writing. But there are some serious gaps still. I know others have spoken and will speak on pollution, noise, water, heritage, the river. So I want to spend my remaining time on one line. Power generation and the natural gas infrastructure are listed as permitted accessory uses. And the only condition written specifically for generators is a 300-foot setback. No cap on how many, no cap on how big, no cap on fuel storage, and no requirement that they're backup only. And Mr. Mabe just spoke about how they will likely all be diesel. The facility in the video has 62 diesel generators and plans for 51 gas turbines. And that's what power generation as an accessory grew into. Raleigh's starting to work on this too. Your own Kyle Hall helped write the Ratepayer Protection Act, but it doesn't cap on-site generation either. Nobody closes that gap yet. Only this board can. And so just to be clear where I stand, I don't think Project Delta belongs here, especially after seeing the land over the weekend. But if it's coming, it should come with every protection available for the neighbors here. So while this application is under review, I just have 3 asks. 1, watch the video before you come back for a vote. And ideally, it would be shown in the next meeting so everybody knows what you're in for. 2, track where the bill stands before scheduling the vote. As it's written, siting protections will only apply to projects approved after it becomes law, and they may end up addressing some of the gaps that are here. And 3, on power generation, a cap, a backup only requirement, and a run hour limits written into these conditions with real enforcements. And I just ask that you agree to some of this today. Thank you for your time.
Martha Wall.
How do you follow that? My name is Martha Wall. I live at 416 Lakeside Drive. I've lived there 66 of my 70 years of life. As the crow flies, I'm about 2 miles from this proposed data center. I feel like we're David and Goliath. We're the Davids, and we're up against Goliath. We're competing against people whose jobs are to sell. They have strong PowerPoints. They have polished sales pitches. Maybe they've met with 1 or 2 commissioners behind closed doors. We're not privy to that or what's said. We're asking for transparency. We're not a hired group of people that line up outside to yell, we don't want data centers. We're just the average Stokes County trying to live our lives and look after our families. This is way too big for anything I can wrap my mind around. I'm speaking to you as someone who you asked for our vote, and I voted for you. In Walnut Cove, I saw some of you asking for votes at the polling booth, so I went in and voted for you to have that seat while we sit here and I feel like we're pleading for our lives. Tell us, where are your people lined up and sign a paper to speak to all of us and tell us why this is so good for national security? Where's the group of people that know what you know? I know that he's explained all of this to you all one-on-one, but I don't see people lined up outside yelling and with compassion telling us why this is good for our lives. Nobody. I don't see a list for people who are for it.
No.
And I'm learning. I'm not qualified to speak. I'm speaking from my heart. We just want transparency. We're asking for you to represent us. That's what we voted for. And to hear us, all of these speeches and all the people with intelligence that speak to you all from their heart with and they get upset because it's falling on deaf ears. We feel like we're talking and telling you how we feel, but it's what you know behind the scene that is far bigger than what it appears to be. Maybe you can't tell us. Maybe you've signed an NDA. I don't know. I'm making that up. I'd like to know and have privy to what you know, and to see people line up and sign a paper and tell me how this is going to better my life, my whole life. And thank you for your time.
Lou Novak.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Commissioners, for letting us speak. This is the most important rezoning request in the history of Stokes County. If I may add, the most heated. When Nations first presented his vision of a data center here adjacent to where we live, by the way, I live on Old Town Road, just half a mile from the data center. I'm Lou Novak. We knew nothing about data centers, but we've done our research. And some of us have visited data centers, and we've listened to the views of those on both sides. So many have voiced legitimate concerns and fears for what a cluster of hyperscale data centers will do to our environment and community. We have many problems with what Nations is proposing. One, Nations wants to build a complex of hyperscale data buildings, not just one data center. The complex is estimated to be between 5 and 6 million square feet. The unified building is 1 million square feet. Have you been there? We have. It goes on forever. Haynes Mall is only 1.4 million square feet, and the highest point is 40 feet. This data center is going to be 80 feet tall. Think about that. That's 5 Haynes Malls. It's impossible to hide this data center. Someone mentioned it, well, maybe we can hide it back in the back behind the trees. Can't be done. It's just too big. And that's fact. Do you know a million square foot building covers 23 acres? The Reagan building here sits on 3 acres, including the parking lot. The point is, with the various floodplains on the property, there's no way to conceal these structures or place them back away from the people. It was suggested to Nations to build one building so we could look it over and decide if we wanted more. A fair and logical question. He quickly said no, because hyperscale complexes are what the investors want. In other words, it's money over people, and that's wrong in so many ways. 2, if the rezoning request gets approved, it opens the floodgates of other hyperscale data center clusters to come to our county. This will ruin the pristine natural beauty of our county's charm and country feeling. Do you think tourists or families are going to want to come here when all they see is data center complexes? I think not. Number 3, a large complex of hyperscale data centers draw an unimaginable amount of power, which has been addressed over and over again. This is not propaganda, this is fact from the nation's mouth. 2,000 megawatts. That's the power of 1 million homes. You know how many places of dwelling we have in North Carolina? 5 million. 1/5 of the dwelling places here in North Carolina. That's going to be outside my door. That's a little scary. Think of the pollution, noise, and fuel consumed. Speaking of fuel, which was already spoken of, and the nation said he's going to use diesel. This will require 3 to 4 million gallons of diesel per day. That's 6 Olympic swimming pools. Imagine the storage facility needed to contain that fuel. You know, that's over 400 tanker trucks a day. They hold about 9,000 gallons. Facts. That's insane. Think of the environment, the spills. Think of the poison it could do to our wells or the Dan River. To sum it all up, it's just too big and unrealistic for this property. We wouldn't mind something, I'm almost done. We wouldn't mind something that'd be small, and that would be more, that make more sense, but this is unrealistic. We don't have the safeguards, as already pointed out, to protect our community. They're not in place. Why should we trust a novice to do this as well? He's already made lots of mistakes. Please meet with us at a joint venue where everyone can be heard. We would love to meet as a group where we can discuss this. I suggest that we meet at one of the gyms here in our local community. Thank you, commissioners. Let's get it done.
We have time for one more.
One more speaker.
Sandy Novak.
I'm sorry, I'm really struggling right now with some asthmatic conditions and coughing, so I hope I can get through this. I just want to go kind of a different route. I want to say I love where I live, my home, my family, my neighbors, my church family, but most of all, I love my God and Father and my Savior, Jesus Christ. I've been blessed every day of my life in many ways, and we are to safeguard and carefully steward what our Father has given us. And you all, as our elected leaders, are to represent us in this community in carefully and prayerfully doing this. It is your duty to make good and wise decisions that govern our way of life here. And it is our duty to sound a warning on dangers we see and to discuss in conversation with you all what they may be, true or false. We need to understand what is true. John Quincy Adams said, "Duty is ours. Results are God's." Your duty is to your representatives, us, and you do not have any obligations or duty for those not part of this community. We have presented so much information and truths to you concerning hyperscale data centers and fear greatly that it is all for naught. By law or procedure, you may not have to respond to us, but morally and for the good and for the future good of the community, you should, each and every one of you. We are together requesting another venue for a community meeting with everyone represented. The community, the planning committee, the mayor, the town leaders, Drew Nations, the county commissioners, and whoever else might want to share valuable information. We come together as one group to hear the same thing. We shouldn't be in separate groups hearing different things. We just want to be assured we are hearing the same thing. We want you each to fully express why you are for, why you're against it, or what trepidations you have concerning this. What are your misgivings? There needs to be conversation back and forth. We can work with you to find an area large enough for us all. We have never had such a large decision to make. We cannot afford a quick decision. This is something we should think about for our future here and not make a foolish and quick decision that we'll regret the rest of our lives. Since you have said no to a moratorium for a set time to unravel what's inside this, and you said no to preparing great and strict safeguards on this, because that's what we wanted to do in the moratorium, we must then say no to data centers for Stokes County. We don't have a choice. We say again, we are not against data centers, but we are against the location and the size of a super hyper scale data complex such as this. There's a good word from the Lord. Let not mercy and truth forsake thee. Bind them about thy neck. Write them upon the tablet of thine heart. So shalt thou find favor and good understanding in the sight of God and man. You'll find that in the community. Good understanding in the sight of God and the people that are here in this community. It is never too late to do the righteous thing. And I want to say this. I know this is just a cute little quip, but it speaks to my heart. We are going to either stand for good. Stand for good. Don't stoop for greed. There's a difference. Stand for good for this community. And I want to quote Ronald Reagan, one of the greatest presidents. He said this, trust, but verify. And that's what we want, verification. We want to know what's true and what isn't true. We have to do our due diligence or we will regret it the rest of our lives. Thank you.
This time I close the floor for public comments. I'll move to comments by the manager, county commissioner. I'll start with Commissioner Chandler.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to welcome everybody viewing on YouTube and streaming, and of course everybody here in person. I really appreciate your taking the time and come up here and share your comments and your concerns. I know I've had a few people talk to me about the lack of I guess might be a social media post going around that's talking about that we're short-sighting our public safety, our deputies and first responders with pay and maybe not, or maybe overpaying or giving more money to other employees here at the Reagan building. So I'd like to say this. I would love for the sheriff to come here and speak for his deputies. I mean, come in and share what his thoughts are and why the sheriff's office is underpaid. And so we as the board, that helps us make a decision. So again, and I've, of all people, I'll never go against first responders, and especially, the deputies, the police officers. We have a hard time recruiting. It's nationwide. The one thing that we do have up here in Stokes County that a lot of places don't have, and I've mentioned this before, is the vast majority of the citizens and almost all of the public officials support law enforcement. And to me, that makes a big difference, which should help the recruiting and retention. But again, I just want to point that out. I've had some people talk to me, and it's coming off of apparently a social media post. So I would love for the sheriff to get with the county manager and get on our agenda just as soon as he has time to do so we can look into it. That's all I got, Mr. Chair.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Welcome, everybody. It's good to have you here expressing your opinions. I would like to say just one thing on the data center. We all try to return calls as much as we can. We're doing other things as well, but I think everybody here does return calls. I had one today for the lengthy call on the data center. But we're currently under a lawsuit with the data center from those opposing it and some outside organizations who are representing them. And on the advice of our counsel, who's sitting over here, like with any litigation that we're normally under, we have been advised not to be having discussions about it. That's kind of a standard practice when somebody's suing you. So we're not into trying to evade information or not provide information or whatever. But when you put it in the context of a lawsuit, the rules change as to what we're really able to talk about or not talk about. So I just want to make that point. So people wouldn't think we're just trying to ignore them or whatever. I'll have Mr. Chairman.
Welcome, everybody. Good to see everybody. Me and Rick had a brief meeting this morning with the representative from the state auditors, seeing what he could do for us, which that's never happened before. But since David got in, he's making it a policy, and we're in good shape. That's all I got.
Yeah, thank you. I'd like to welcome everybody here and the ones watching online, and for everybody that took the time to come out and express your concerns. And I think Commissioner Chandler just talked about one social media post, and I'm going to address another one. So there's a social media post on Facebook that was made about why I voted against the solar farm, and I voted in favor of the data center. So I would prefer to address that in person rather than online by making a comment to that post online, because if I do that, it's just going to be attacked and it will be taken out of context and it'll be misconstrued and blatantly lied about anyway. And probably what I say today will be as well. So it's just something we're kind of getting used to. But I'm pretty sure if social media had been around 50 years ago, no progress would have ever been made in this county or any other one for that matter. And it's exactly why good, capable people with integrity and intelligence refuse to run for public office anymore, because they see what happens to those who do try to make a difference, and I can't say that I blame them. When we were looking at the solar farm for that same piece of property, I personally didn't think that we needed another solar farm in this county at all, much less another one in Walnut Cove, where there already was 2 that were previously approved before I became a commissioner. And I must say, I would have never voted in favor of either one of them if I would have been on here. The fact that I voted against that solar farm, one would think would prove to a reasonable person that I was trying to protect Walnut Cove from another eyesore that did nothing for economic development, no jobs, very little tax value, but a very real threat to soil contamination and other things. Then we got slammed, with the lawsuit because we turned that down. Then we got the data center proposal, which does bring jobs, which has a very high tax evaluation, which is an industrial site that will, in my opinion, be very well hidden if it ever gets built. I don't even think if it ever gets built you would know it was there. Certainly not to the level of a solar farm and that eyesore. And yes, that does make the other lawsuit go away, which is costing our county a lot of money in legal fees. I'm not really going to go into all the pros and cons of a data center at this point. It's kind of, I will say that they are now widely recognized as essential critical infrastructure in the U.S., foundational to national security and economic stability. Do we do nothing? Do we take advantage of this opportunity and try to do something to help our economically disadvantaged county before the federal government comes in and just says we're going to start building them and we'll put them where we want them and there's no tax money? I do agree that even though Mr. Nations gave us a new proposal and there are more things in it that are better, that there would have to be more additional protections and conditions put in place before I would vote for it again. I will say that. I do agree that there should be a forum and a time and a place where we could all, have maybe a bigger venue for having a meeting with Mr. Nations and the commissioners and any other of the elected officials who would want to take place in that, where we can have a dialogue. We are been talking about other data centers that we can possibly visit besides just the one in Maiden, because I think we need to look at a couple additional ones maybe that aren't hooked to the grid or have other things that the one in Maiden didn't have. So as at this particular moment, my mind's still not made up, but I think it'll just take a lot of communication and a lot of prayer and other things before a decision can be made on this. But I did just want to address that one post, and that's exactly why I don't go on there and try to defend myself online. It's just pointless. This is probably pointless to do. So.
Thank you, Commissioner Scott. Again, to reiterate, fellow commissioners, thank you for being here. You voicing your opinion. I take all the statements in concern and look forward to further down the road. We'll have more meetings on this issue. So again, thank y'all for being here. This time, Jeff, you got anything you'd like to add?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't have anything to report today.
No.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have just 3 points that I want to hit. As everyone probably knows, we have received an application from Mr. Nations for a data center. In an effort to provide full transparency, we have included on the Planning and Inspections webpage a tab that will have all the documents associated with the data center on the page. So currently we have all the items that make up the application on the page. We're happy to answer any questions about the documents that are on the page. You can call me or you can call the Planning and Inspections Department. And I want to point out that there's nothing on the agenda today about data centers.
Thanks, sir.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Anything? Okay, that moves us to conflict of interest. Before moving further, does any board member have a conflict with any of the items on the agenda today, or could proceed as a conflict of interest? Moves to the consent agenda.
Motion approved the consent agenda.
A second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Moves us to the information agenda. Update of spay and neuter program, Tommy Reeves.
Mine cut shorter, of course. Thank y'all for allowing me to speak. On June 18th, or several months before that, I was on several calls and had run into people who wanted to get their animals fixed but couldn't afford it. So it got me to thinking, how can I help this problem? This has been something that's been brought up to me several times. So in that process, we have a donation fund that people give over the years. It's just sitting there. So I decided to take that donation fund and start a spay and neuter program for Stokes County. And it's Stokes County residents only. There's no restrictions on it as far as income base or whatever. It don't cost the taxpayer of Stokes County not a dime. This is donation based only. So there's no money coming out of budgets or anything like that to pay for this. In that process, we kicked it off June 18th. Since June 18th, we have scheduled 132 animals to be spayed and neutered. And we partnered with the veterinarian in Walnut Cove to do this program. I met with her and she's one side. So in that process now, we have scheduled 132 animals to be spayed and neutered. We have 156 people waiting to interview with my shelter manager to meet with her to get their voucher and to schedule their appointment for their animals to be spayed and neutered. Also in that process, because you have to have a rabies shot before you go to the veterinarian before they'll work on your animal, we've conducted 70 rabies shots. So needless to say, the program has been a huge success. And what I'm hoping this program will do is it's going to limit the calls that we get. It's going to help with the unwanted pets in Stokes County. It's going to get people aware of the rabies shots, keep them up to date. So the program is doing what I wanted it to do. I think it's going to help in the call volume for us in the future. It's going to help with the neighbors around people. So it has been a huge success, and I just want to let y'all know how good a success it has been and that we're keeping it going. And like I said, as long as the donation money keeps coming in, we will keep this program funded, but it's funded solely off of donation money. But I just want to let y'all know, since June 18th, we have tremendous outpour for this program. And we do 2 pets per year, no matter for your family. We don't do no feral cats. It's just for your household pets. So it's been a huge success. And I had a lot of feedback that they was glad we didn't put it to income base. It don't matter your income, to the richest to the poorest of Stokes County, we will fix your animal for you, because we just don't want no more pets than that's necessary. So I just wanted to pass that on to you and let you know how good the program was going, and that the shelter staff and everything is going great for us, and we appreciate it. And we appreciate y'all.
How and where do they donate to the fund?
Just straight to, they can donate to the shelter, or they can send it over to finance, either way, but they can donate. It just goes straight into donations. That's all that money's being used for right now, is the donation is for that. And if they want to specify it to be used for that, they can even put on there for spay and neuter program. But that's all we're using that money for right now, is sitting there for that program, because I pretty much hadn't touched it since I've been here. But I think it's a good use for donation money. And most people who donate, that's what they want it used for. They want it used to help pets and cut down the population of pets. So,
Keep up good work.
thank y'all.
Good job, thanks.
Community health and safety, Tammy. I'm sorry.
I just came back to answer any questions you had about the community health assessment. Last time, I know there was a lot of public comment, but any questions?
So,
Just hold on.
I do, just wait a second till.
Yeah, let's let the ones that want to leave, leave.
Thanks, Dan. Go ahead now.
I just came last time, and I'll go over it again. The top 3 priorities that came out of the health assessment this year were mental health, substance abuse, chronic illness, and healthy eating and exercise. And some of those are just repeats of every other year. These were 503 responses to our survey that we put out in 2025, sorry. And our community health worker, she did all this and compiled everything. And if there's anything further you may need after today, just email me and I'll clarify.
First of all, it's a very good report, very thorough. It's a lot in it, and I get that. You know, you're just compiling, you know, the statistics. So I mean, you're not actually the one that's, you know, that's trying to say, hey, we're at abnormal, high rate, or we're average, or you're just going on what it says. But I guess my big thing is we're making a lot of success, you know, with the overdose rate, you know, that has come down dramatically. And the other thing that I realized, I guess, seeing everything together, we've got a lot of programs that the health department does, and not just the big ones, but I'm talking about, I didn't quite, when you put it all together, it's like, wow, it's quite a few. But my question to you is, so the challenges is kind of, you know, just picking a little here overall. It's mental health, especially youth. But then, you know, you mentioned when you drill down into it, you know, you talked about, and we've, at least ever since I've been on the board, we've talked about the lack of transportation. In other words, across the line of how do we get our people that need help to the right place to do it. And then I guess the second thing is do we have the adequate resources once we get them to where they need to go? Do they, so if you just take mental health, for example, with youth, do we have the right capabilities to treat the symptoms, to solve the problem?
Within the county, I do believe we need more mental health providers, youth focused as well as adult. We do offer virtual visits through us, and we're hoping to, with our grant that we did get, invest in more equipment so we can do more virtual, and maybe expand it to like the fire departments if they can travel that far, have a family member drive them there, how to do that. And the transportation's always been a thing. Even when we had the connector, nobody used the connector. So I really don't know the answer other than virtual and maybe making more tablets be able to go home with patients, because we do have MAT and mental health that do participate in that. And they come in ever so often, as the physician says. But mental health, we're hoping to collaborate with the school. But when we go back and see if there's any way we can get into the schools to discuss, I know in the surveys there were also opinions like people may not know the signs and symptoms, even in adults. And that needs to be discussed more so that stigma will go away. And if we can't get into the schools, I know a lot of people try to get into schools, maybe looking at doing it out in the community at, say, the fire departments or the community centers, and just having educational and then feedback from the community is what they need and want.
Do you think that, because I also noticed, I'm kind of jumping around a little bit now, but since you brought up schools, so you also know the statistics about homeschooling, and of course here in Stokes County, it's homeschooling, is increasing, but so is in the state. It's not just Stokes, but it's everywhere. Do you think that by homeschooling, do you think that's one less opportunity? Because if they're not in a public school or a private school, to where maybe teachers are having contact or seeing the symptoms of. Do you think that's a detriment? Or
I don't think it is completely, because we do have contact with that homeschool group that we do share information with. And if they ever need us to come out and do education, and we'll look at them too when we start doing schools, if we can actually get in and do information sessions with them also. So we reach out to all.
And then the other thing that was kind of interesting to me was that you were quoting the statistics about incarceration in Stokes County, and how it was jumped pretty dramatically in 2021, and then it kind of leveled off. But even in 2023, it's still high. It's above average for the state average. And I'm just trying to, I don't know if the statistics, if they're talking about, if it includes repeat offenders, or if it's just a single event that we're incarcerating above average amount of people. And that to me, that's kind of alarming.
And I can dig deeper into what those numbers were.
And I know that, you're not in the law enforcement business, but I don't know, I'm just kind of trying to figure out, how that.
I know during COVID, a lot of that mental health came out, and I don't know if that made an uptick in the drug usage, and then they just ended up in jail, or if it was repeat offenders after that. But we can dig deeper if we can find numbers. They'll be older numbers, not current.
And the only other thing, and I'll shut up, is that, and I've said this before, and it's nothing, you're just doing what, I hate that we're always a year behind with the state. It's like, we're going, history is good, but I wish that, and maybe it was just, I don't know, maybe I didn't look hard enough on your website or something, if you track statistics quarterly or.
I do an annual report, which I'll be bringing next month, and that will give you the statistics of all our programs at the health department.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have a couple questions. Tammy, when I read through this, it's got a lot of good data in it. It kind of tells where we're at and everything. But my first thought was, how do you convert this into some kind of an action plan to actually address the issues that are provided here?
We do
And
have
if you look on page 9, it talks about the results-based accountability, which says trademark. I don't know if that's a model or what that is. And then that feeds into something called the Stokes Community Health Improvement Plan, CHIP. Is that the action plan for?
That is your action plan, and we also have a strategic plan where we do work on those also in the strategic plan, so that's updated quarterly. The results-based is what the state uses for us to do with the guidelines of what we need to follow to do that. And those CHIPs are what we do with our stakeholders, and I can send everybody the website because it's going to be updated this September. It's updated by what stakeholders do in our county. That would be Insight, community paramedics. Any of those stakeholders will have their stuff in there too, so you can have a link to everybody in the county, what we're doing to work towards these.
So the next time you put one of these out or do another one, you would expect to see a lot of things fixed that were in this one.
You will expect to see maybe some improvement, not fixed.
Okay. It's a lot of work to do to,
And that'll be 4 years for
to stay
that
on the
one.
shelf and not kind of be converted into action. So that's what I wanted to make sure about. Also, the only other question I have is, now that we have a heavily financed corporation that's going to be looking after people in Stokes County from a medical standpoint, and that's Novant Health. What's your interface with them? See, on things like this, do they do something like this within the hospital system, where a smaller operator would not? But I guess we need to deconflict or not duplicate things that they're going to do whenever you guys are, with the things you guys are going to do. And so what's your plan like to interface with them and incorporate them into Stokes County's public health and other health and whatever?
We are going to set up a time to meet. I kind of let the newness die down and all the stuff they may be facing right now, but I gave a copy, I sent it to Pam. She requested it. We were in a meeting together, and I sent the copy to Pam, which she's going to forward to, I'm not sure the guy's name that's up there, but they're going to look at that. And then going forward, we may, because they'll be a non-profit, not-for-profit, so we will have to work with them on the community health assessment going forward, where LifeBright was for-profit and we didn't. Other counties in our region work with them and Atrium. So it'll just be a combination.
Okay. They just got a lot of resources that we need to take advantage of that up until now we haven't had.
Our board was planning to meet with them, and I'm not sure if they picked a date yet, but we hadn't met for the last 2 months, so I'll ask in August.
Okay. Okay, good. That's all I got.
Good job, Tammy. Your staff does a great job. The mental health issue, you got your work cut out for you. Because the sources ain't just out there, because it's everywhere. That's all I got.
Yeah, it's a good report, and y'all put a lot of work into this and the survey, and just trying to take the survey and disseminate those results and figure out what you can tackle. I think on page 93 is more of like the actions outlined that the CHIP is scheduled to focus on these key actions. So that goes back to Rick's point about, an action plan. I think one thing that I don't see too much about in the questions, I think there's just one question that pertains to vaping. But from what I hear, that is a really big problem with the teenagers right now, and even in the schools, and them trying to figure out how to address it. So it might be something next year we want to hone in on a little bit more, and if there's any way to partner with the schools to educate the kids more about the dangers. I think a lot of them think it's safer than smoking. It's actually probably more dangerous and worse on your lungs. So you know, I think that needs to be addressed because a lot of kids just don't understand the effects of that. But the mental health, you know, as I formerly served on your board and serving on the DSS board, it's very apparent that the mental health is such a big issue in our county and other places, and the resources are very few and far between. So anything we can do to get you more resources that we can help with. would be
And Insight
glad to.
is working on vaping in schools.
Okay, good to
And
know.
they are working on that.
That's great to know. Prevention is key. Thank you, Tammy. Thank you. We'll see you next month with another report.
Listening agenda, Jamie Clark.
It's my turn. All right. What do we have first? Okay, the pay and benefits policy. All right. So the changes from our original policy that you received last year are in this plan, and they're highlighted in red. The biggest change is to the general pay scale, and that's a result of this year's salary study that we've been discussing over the last several weeks. Currently, we have 93 positions spread across 14 pay grades. That just didn't give us enough room to accurately place positions based on market data. So we're recommending expanding the general pay scale by adding additional grades and reducing the difference between grades from 10 to 5%. This did not increase the top pay scale or create higher salaries in that pay class. It simply gave us the flexibility to place positions where they belong and create some more logical progression through that pay scale. The other change you'll see is that on each additional pay scale throughout the plan, we went ahead and added that 2.7% cost of living increase. I did want to briefly remind everybody about the 3-year compensation strategy that we recently adopted. Rather than attempting to address every position in a single year, we committed to conducting an annual salary study and reviewing approximately 1/3 of the workforce each year. That's allowed us to make data-driven adjustments while remaining financially reasonable and keeping Stokes competitive in the labor market. As a result, each year is going to look a little bit different. For the past couple years, our largest salary adjustments have been in public safety and with first responders. For fiscal year 24 and 25, the salary study resulted in the greatest adjustments for the sheriff's office and the jail. In fiscal year 25-26, the study resulted in adjustments for DSS and EMS. And then this year, after completing the salary study and we compared every county position to the market, it was clear that the general pay scale had fallen the furthest behind. That's why this year's recommendations are focused on those positions, and we felt this was the next step with our strategy that we've established to help Stokes remain competitive when recruiting and retaining our employees.
Can I ask one question before we move on? So when you're doing when you do the pay study, do you do a total benefit pack? So in other words, do you just look at like what their base salary is, or like what their beginning and then their midpoint, and then where they max out? Or do you also look at, because some places, if you have an associate's degree or bachelor's degree or certifications, they don't pay any extra money. We do. Stuff like that.
We did not take that into consideration. We just did off base salary or the base pay range.
Thank you.
You done? Or are we waiting
No, I'm
for
done.
us?
Yes.
Waiting for us?
I'm waiting for questions.
Okay. In that section 5D of this, it talks about the certifications, and it says up to 3%. So my question was, how do you determine whether it's 1, 2, or 3? I think it would be a good idea to measure what you're doing there to see if it's working, to see if it's causing people to get certifications that haven't in the past or whatever. You can think of a way to do that.
So right now, we don't currently have a table for percentages based on certification and education. That is something that Jeff and I have been discussing. Something we could come up with going forward in the future. What we've done recently is just base it on how much it allows you to do over what you've been able to do in your position. As far as the certifications that come along with increases, when we look at those, for instance, planet or telecommunications, if it will allow those employees to do any additional job duties on top of what they've been able to do.
The purpose of it is to get people to go get certified, right?
Right.
Where they can't, if they want to, they can continue operating without being certified. That's what I'd like to make sure it's being applied in a way that is incentivizing people to do something they wouldn't do before.
Right.
If you can kind of.
That is the intent. And it's a combination of effort required to get the certification and the relevance of the certification to ensure that we're promoting the development of skills that pertain to the jobs that people are doing here for Stokes County.
Then what about jobs where a certification is required? Does that play into this at all? Like somebody that comes in and they have a certain amount of time to get certified?
No, that's under the base salary range.
So that wouldn't play in. This is like voluntary certification. Next thing is I noticed on the salary schedules, most all of them, not all of them, but the dollar amounts in each column all went down. And then you go to the next one that shows the grades. That's called the position classification thing that you have in there. And all of those went up. I think every one of them went up.
Mm-hmm.
So I was kind of wondering, like, what was the net effect of that lowering one, raising the other? Did it end up with everybody getting a pay increase, or maybe a lot of people, or nobody, or somebody, or?
Not everybody. I can't remember the number off of the top of my head. I couldn't go back and look, but it was a significant amount of employees that this did affect. Raising the grades, that's why I said we were adding the additional grades in to give us, it lowered the percentages between the pay grades. So what's now, the difference between a GO3 and a GO4 is now 5%, where it was 10% on the previous pay scale. We had a lot of positions that were similar, and we had them on the same pay scale to begin with. When the salary study showed us that they didn't necessarily need to be on the same pay scale, but it didn't also need to be 10% above the other. It just needed a slight difference. So that was the reason for those.
Okay, and that didn't have anything to do with doing the 1/3 each year. That was
No.
across the board.
Just creating greater stratification.
Yeah. Okay, I didn't have any problem with it. I was just kind of curious how it played out. You lowered one, raised the other, and what you ended up with. I guess it stayed within budget, right?
It did, and you may recall that what we did last year, what we did this year, is we incorporated $150,000 in the budget to accommodate whatever resulted from the pay study, and we again this year we fell under that limit.
When are you starting your next third study in pay grade? Are you already working on that?
Yeah, not yet, but as soon as this one gets passed, we'll go ahead and start the one for the next year.
Okay. And who's going to be in it? Do you know already? Or?
More than likely, it'll be the Sheriff's Department, jail, and the Health Department, based on who all has been looked at and adjusted the last 2 years.
Okay. All right, that's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, a couple. Personal leave. What qualifies for that? Under employee benefits.
Are we moving on?
Are we moving on? Yeah, sorry.
Policy, personnel policy.
Are we on the wrong page?
Yeah, we on the money right now.
I mean, you're on the right set of stuff, but
It's,
I thought you were asking about something in
no,
there. Okay.
this is in the
Okay.
package I got.
So he's on the right page.
We just talking about that.
Go ahead.
How you right now?
It's under the holiday thing, I think, Jane, is what he's asking.
let me get to
Is that
that.
gonna be a separate conversation, or should we?
It is in the personnel policy.
So it's both?
Yes, it's in both, I'm sorry.
Well, I can wait till,
Yeah, I mean, I got a question about that too.
Okay.
and well, I got another benefit question. I still don't see maternity leave.
I think at the last meeting, it was determined that we were going to revisit that because it had costs associated with it. So we were going to talk about it later on in the year after we evaluated the cost.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I brought that up, and since we've already passed the budget for this year and it could have an impact to the budget, it's something we should look at and see if we want to do it for next year budget. But yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that because I had that on my notes as well, as to keep that in the forefront of our minds. I think most counties have some type of maternity leave policy. But my only question about this pay and the grades would be the difference of the DSS director versus the health director being on separate grades. While I know that advanced degrees and years of service could impact what they're actually paid, I don't really see any reason to have them on separate grades.
Can I comment on that too?
Yeah.
I agree 100%, and I meant to say that.
Okay.
I ain't vote for nothing that has them on separate grades.
Yeah,
I ain't gonna vote in
understand.
favor of it, so I think it should be on the same grade.
Yeah, I do too. Anybody? Or you can just explain the rationale for that.
It just fell out of our analysis of the, the comparable counties that we looked at. In some cases, they are the same, in other cases, they're not. And so when you average it all out, the average compensation for a health director in the counties that we looked at is higher than the average compensation for a DSS director. I'm talking not actual compensation, but the pay scale numbers.
Well, it's like I said, I get that advanced degrees and years of service will impact it, but in the general scheme of things, when you look at how many people are under a DSS director and how many people directly report back to a health director, it seems like your DSS has got almost twice as many employees to answer back to them. So that's why I was not really understanding that.
We're just looking at what the market is telling us about where those salary ranges should be.
And mine is based on experience. We're working with the two departments, and I don't see any way health should be higher than DSS under any circumstances.
Would you consider approving it with that change?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I approve everything else. That's the only thing that was a showstopper for me.
Yeah, me too.
I'll go on.
I think the only question is which grade would you have the two on? The G23 or the G24?
I think the higher grade.
Higher grade.
So would that put the DSS director higher than the health department director?
The same.
The same.
Just the same?
Yeah, it's the same. Yeah, it doesn't mean their pay would be the same, obviously.
Rate the same.
But there's other things that could impact that.
Right.
Right.
Any other questions on that one?
I thought it's really good work you did on it.
It's a lot of work.
You want to move this to action then?
Yeah.
Or is that one change?
Yeah.
Okay. Then we're going to move along to the handbook. Same thing, the changes from last year are highlighted in red. And then most of the changes aren't new policies. They're really just updates clarifying the existing language. We tried to remove some of the gray areas that we ran into over the past year. And then to make sure the handbook reflect the changes that were made with the EMS schedule change. There were a few new policies I could highlight. The first is on page 18. It was CBD and THC products. Since they're becoming more common and legally available, they've become a frequent topic in the HR world. So This policy just gives our supervisors and department heads expectations while continuing to support a drug-free workplace. We also added a personal observance leave policy. On page 39, most counties across North Carolina have started adopting policies like this to give employees more flexibility to recognize holidays or religious cultural observances that the county don't recognize itself. Another recommendation we have is on page 67 to allow managers and department heads who supervise 3 or more employees to accrue vacation leave at a minimum rate of 21 days per year. These employees are exempt from overtime and they do not earn comp time. They're often expected to respond outside of normal business hours. This change recognizes those additional responsibilities while encouraging those folks to take their time off. And then the last major change that we have in this is on page 47, which would add a stop date for retiree health insurance eligibility. What we figured is the long-term cost of this benefit continues to grow each year, and many counties have already moved away from a benefit like this. So this recommendation allows us to honor our commitment to the employees who qualify that before date. One recommendation that I would make is this was written earlier in the year with a July 1 cutoff date, so I would recommend changing that to August the 1st since we're already past July 1. I think that's all that I have. Do y'all have any questions on this one?
I have one question. On the CBD oil, aren't there 2 types of that? One made from hemp and one from something else?
They do, but they're really hard to distinguish between. I think, are you concerned more about like CBD pens?
Yes.
Not so much like products?
Not topical use, more of internal product, yeah, consumption.
So is it, I thought I saw CBD oil in the arts place one time. Am I mistaken on that? For sale? Was it down there?
Probably.
Is that the kind you're?
That's the topical, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think what one of the issues is someone will test positive and it says THC and they'll say, well, I use CBD. And so that has become an
It's
issue.
hard to determine between marijuana use and THC use.
CBD.
Okay, well, all we're saying is you're responsible for your decisions.
Yeah.
So then their
I'm
decision.
not saying they can't use it,
Do
but
they need to make sure that if they're taking CBD oil, it doesn't have THC in it? Can you do that by looking at the bottle or?
Not always.
Yeah.
There are like,
Because some people, like, it's just like the gummies, for example, which a lot of people do.
Is that in your bag?
There are gummies up here, I think they're fruit. After today, there might be no Delaware. But they're just fruit gummies. But, like, I think local farmers and stuff still make some of that stuff, and I guess it's hard to know how much THC is in the product. Like, you might take something and not really know that it has.
That's the base of my whole question. Like I gave it to my dog during thunderstorms,
Right.
you know, to calm him down.
Right.
just don't
So
eat it.
it's kind of like it's all out there floating around. I'm kind of worried about somebody accidentally
Plus, that's coming up in Raleigh again.
yeah.
doing something. So if
As I think Jennifer was trying to describe, we're kind of in an indefensible position though. When somebody pops hot in a test, all they have to do is say, "Well, it was a CBD. It was a CBD product. I didn't take, you know." So, without having a policy like this that says it's on you,
yeah.
I think that's what we ran into with so many new hire drug tests. They fail in drug tests, but they tell us they had a THC drink the night before, which you
is
can buy at
about
Lowe's.
every
Yeah.
convenience store around here. You can buy those.
I sort of think it's similar to, I mean, alcohol is a legal substance, but you can't drink so much the night before that you come in and
Right.
you're
you're responsible for your
Yeah.
own actions. Yeah.
Right.
But on a drug test, it doesn't. It can't tell you the difference between marijuana and THC.
Well, I'd hate to lose a good person just because they accidentally did something. You guys allow some judgment.
Well, where it hurts us is, post-accident.
You got a DWI
Because we have to send
issue.
somebody for a drug test after an accident if they have a positive drug test. That's where it would hurt. But
Okay, I'm not against what you're doing, but it's a little tricky.
Have you seen, or a lot of other counties putting policies like this into effect as well? I'm wondering. Okay.
If somebody accidentally taking the wrong stuff.
What if it's drive-by position?
Are we,
Well, then when you have your drug test, you have your verification of the prescription. It's just like a controlled substance at that time.
It is kind of like the alcohol thing though, too. Like, you don't know when you've gone over that limit either, right? But you're still responsible for your own actions, so.
Or energy drinks and things like that have it in it?
I don't know if it's energy drinks.
I think it's the opposite.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sleepy drinks.
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
I'm okay with it. I'm just,
It's,
maybe test it and see if you
We
need
can
to
test
tweak
it this year and then
later.
look at it again next year because I'm sure that the laws will change.
It's something gonna happen.
Yeah.
Okay. That's really all I had. The rest, I'm good with the rest of the changes you guys did.
You need to just move to action.
Is
I
there
got
a
a
question on the
question.
personal leave?
No, it explains it in this.
Okay, yeah.
Well,
Is the 12 sick days, are they paid?
Yes.
They're paid, but
They're accrued.
the overwhelming majority of us never use them all, and so they just accrue toward retirement, and you're given credit for those days that you don't use to count towards your retirement, so it adds to your service.
there's something I saw in here that I'm looking for. I don't know what page it is. I think it's about the department heads the schedule. What page was
I
that?
think it's on
Yeah.
67.
Let's see. So, okay. So my question about that is, wouldn't it be fair to have it all department heads rather than departments that have 3 or more employees? I know that not a lot of people, but also it seems unfair to just those maybe 2 or 3 department heads that don't have 3 employees. I mean, what would be wrong with just having it for everybody, all department heads?
I think because it includes managers.
It was kind of a late change. What we're really looking at here is it's a recruitment incentive, and we're targeting the folks that you might be trying to poach from another local government somewhere that already have those, a lot of leave time accrual built up in their where you're trying to hire them from, and not making them start over again here at Stokes County with the
Well, yeah,
at
I
the lower
agree
end of
with
the
that.
spectrum. But then we looked at it and said, well, I mean, if let's say you're economic development director here, is that necessarily a person we're poaching from another government, or is it somebody that we just promoted from within, or is it needed, I guess is the question, for those positions as a recruitment incentive?
I just hate to leave anybody out. I just don't know why it has to be just the ones with 3 or more.
Are there some positions that are considered management that actually don't have any subordinate employees within them?
Then what are they managing?
Well, that's what I'm wondering, because, sometimes there'll be things like, for example, that would count towards supervisory experience or things like that, but they don't, I want to say health educators used to be that way, that they would have a department of 1, essentially. So I just wondered if that might have been something that y'all were thinking about as well.
I think under managers on this one, we're just talking about.
We can change that if you'd like to change it. I feel strongly one way or the other.
I'd like to, just,
I'm good with that.
Take that out, the 3 employees, just say department heads. If that's good with everybody.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Okay.
And the other thing that I might need some clarification on about the personal observance leave, about it only being available to those who accrue less than 15 days annually. Does that in any way, I mean, I don't think the intent was ever to punish anybody who has tenure, but I don't know. Maybe that can be explained a little better to me. The thought behind that.
Yeah, I think that the thought process on that was that the folks that are just starting out aren't accruing very many vacation days throughout a year. But this gives them a little bit of flexibility and something that doesn't roll over. You can't, continue to add it to your vacation bank, but it's a couple of days that they can use any given year. Whereas those of us that are accruing a lot of leave every year don't really need that. We've got adequate leave to cover all of our needs.
Oh, okay.
I think that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
That replaced the thing we used to do where we just gave everybody 1 free day per year.
Pretty much. We did away with that about 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
It also kind of takes the place of the use of sick time for personal leave, which we also changed in this policy this year.
So they can use the personal observance time instead of their sick time?
Yeah, for those things that they previously were using sick time.
Well, we'll see how it goes this year. We can tweak it in the future if need be.
I just got one quick, maybe directed at Jeff, but so I was just rereading the accident, the responsibility if an employee's involved in a wreck, then you got to go to the accident review board. I mean, do we see any? It's one of the reasons that we do that is to see if there's a trend or if there's something that, like other than hitting deer or whatever. I mean, is there a trend of, is it backing or is it distracted driving? Do you see any type of
Backing and distracted drivers.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I think it's pretty common across most organizations.
I mean, as long as you're seeing it and it's, and I mean, I just want to make sure that we're not just saying we're doing it. And
Yeah.
some people go to the accident review board and some people don't.
Right.
So.
And when they visit the accident review board, they then have to take additional classes to kind of correct what's happened.
Thank you.
We could forward those minutes from those meetings too. If you want.
I mean, I trust y'all. I mean, y'all.
They're very exciting reading.
And I've done it.
We want to move this to action.
With the one change,
Yeah. If you don't mind.
department heads, all department heads for the leave accrual change.
Thank you.
We're gonna talk about the accident, and I believe we just had an ambulance that was in an accident. I believe we just had an ambulance in an accident this weekend.
Yeah.
Oh.
I haven't seen that data.
Ain't got the report yet, just all
A deer strike or something, or?
No. I'll have to inform you of that.
Okay.
You're the last to know, Jeff.
It's been a busy morning.
We don't know anything, do we?
If I might have been the first.
Does mean you're a witness?
Everybody's okay.
Hey,
Yeah.
you need to put out an email every Friday.
All right.
Do we need a motion or anything to move that to action? Or we just good? Consensus to move it to action?
You should be able to.
Any consensus to
Just
move that?
consensus to move it
Okay.
action.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
All right, good deal. Thank you.
You know, proposed change to the health.
bottom line.
This is neat paper. It's fancy paper. It's from Tori.
Oh,
I like
that's
it.
why.
This is good paper.
I know that's from economic development.
I know.
paper. Okay, alrighty. So now we're going to talk about adding another tier to the retirees' health insurance eligibility. Okay, so this first slide shows our current policy when it comes to eligibility requirements for retirement. So right now you have to have 25 years in the state retirement system, 20 years with Stokes County, and those final 10 years worked have to be consecutive with Stokes County, and then the county will pay 100% of the employee health insurance. If you have a minimum of the 10 years with Stokes County, we'll pay 50% of those insurance premiums. And then, of course, if you have 20 years with the state retirement system and 10 years with Stokes, the employee is eligible to stay on our plan at 100% employee cost. The employer contributes nothing then. So I think, if I'm understanding correctly, what we're looking at doing is adding a separate tier that would have 25 years minimum with the state retirement system, 20 years with Stokes County. However, those do not have to be consecutive, and only the final 5 have to be worked with Stokes County. And then the employer would pay 50% and the employee would pay 50%.
It's not actually another tier, it just changes the criteria from what
That's
was
what-
the second tier to a lower criteria.
That's what we thought, but this would actually be another tier because these employees would have 20 years with Stokes County, just not
Oh,
the final
okay.
10. Yep. So, after I went back and looked. So is this, I'm understanding that correct, Brad? Okay.
So it's either or.
Either or. Okay. So while we're discussing this, we were tasked with figuring out the financial impact this would have on the county. And I'm just going to be upfront and honest with you all. I was very conservative on this, even though I'm trying to do this as a 10-year plan. And a lot of this is a guessing game because I have no idea how many employees who have left here who could potentially come back. So we're giving a rough estimate on this, and I'm staying conservative with it. I did want to show y'all that I reached out on the North Carolina State listserv for human resources to see if anybody still provides retirees insurance. And I did reach out to our neighboring counties as well. So that's what's on slide 4 here. It's showing you what other counties that still do contribute to retirees insurance are doing. And like I said, I received very few responses because I think a lot of counties have moved away from doing this.
So there's a lot there, but only the top 3 are actually, they're continuing, they're all continuing at this point, but everybody else is grandfathered or has sunsetted their benefit already. So
And
new
I did
hires it doesn't pertain to anymore.
We did receive a lot of responses that they had done away with it altogether.
The whole program?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what I wanted to look at that you don't necessarily see on the premium side, because of course we pay the employees premium cost, but what you also don't see since we're self-insured is we also pay the claims costs for employees and for retirees. So that's why I put this data on there for our active employees and their dependents that have visited the doctor, and this is from July 1st of 25 to June 30th. So this is last plan year. And this is only for employees and dependents who actually have filed a claim. Those claims costs were $2.7 million, and that's for 408 individuals. And for the retirees and their dependents alone, there's only 33 in that category. That claims cost was $503,000. So what I wanted to show here was how the average retiree claims are right much higher than our active employees.
Those are older.
Yeah.
That's just the tip of the iceberg.
Baby boomers.
So this slide shows our 10-year projection under our current policy, and this is if we continue to do what we've been doing, paying 100% of employees plus those retirees that meet the criteria for our current policy. So we're looking at, right now we're at $372,000, and this is premiums cost alone right here, jumping up to around $914,000 in the next 10 years. If we continue on the trend that insurance has been doing the last 3. Okay, now this is adding that separate tier that would allow employees to retire with the 5 years, or the last 5 years, and adding those folks to the plan. You can see it goes up. Not so much to begin with, because it's not going to affect that many people to begin with, but it will down the road. And then this last slide shows...
This is just premiums.
Just premiums, yes. That didn't
Claims.
include claims. So this last slide shows an estimated cost of the premiums, jumping up $176,000. And we're estimating, like I said, I was very conservative on this because I feel like it'd be higher, but I'm estimating about $1.1 million in claims costs. And that's additional to what we're trending on for now as our policy is written.
How did you average out the, so for example, a lot of people could start their career later, and then they can jump into, to that second or third tier, and then they may only be on the county's plan a year or 2 years instead of all the way to 65. It just depends on.
Right. Like I said, there's a lot of variables in this.
Yeah.
Like it has to do with age, it has to do with the price of health care and insurance, and how that's going to change over the next 10 years. I don't see it going down.
Yeah. I know it's a lot
It is.
to try to project.
It is.
Something like
But we can only look at the number of employees that this would affect for us now, and then estimate what that's going to look like going forward. I ran the numbers last week, and we have 20 employees that could retire today and have 100% of their health care paid for, or their health insurance.
Without the change.
Without the change.
That's good and bad.
Right.
They stay with you.
Yeah.
And they're just covered until they reach
they
that age.
65.
Medicare.
It's a bridge to Medicare.
If they get on Medicare early, it's 62. That stops it.
Is it the early?
I think it's
When you do
65.
that?
65.
65.
65.
Yeah, I don't think you
They come off on their 65th birthday.
It's 62, wasn't
I know what Dave trained is 65 now. That's me how I know.
You can't do the early anymore.
I think so.
That's 3 year right there.
I appreciate taking the time to delve into this. I know it's,
I'm happy to help.
not like you don't have nothing else going on.
It's good information to have, for sure. It looks like a lot of counties are totally moving away from doing anything, which is unfortunate. But
It is. We are in the minority when it comes to benefits for retirees like that. But I think, it's like I said before, the workforce is different now. They look at the amount of money they're bringing home today,
and that's all.
and that's all.
That's correct.
Yep. I saw a statistic, I can't remember exactly what it said, but it was like how people used to change jobs in their career like 2 or 3 times maybe, and versus now
Yeah.
these younger people that,
I think the average is every 2 years now.
yeah, it's crazy.
The restaurants had a job fire war in Kernersville about 5 years ago. They had so many signs, help wanted, They actually showed kids go from one restaurant to the next, see which one was paying the most. That's how they determined one of them to go to work at. It wasn't about benefits, it was about what you pay me today.
Yeah.
Thank you for that information.
Well, it's a pile of them.
Could I get a consensus to take it to action, vote one way or the other? On, well, no, can I combine well, we are on that. We're
still-
about the new, the third option. Or if you have the 20 years with Stokes County, you're not consecutive, but you work the last 5 years, you get 50%. And plus you have to have 25 years in the state employee retirement. Or do y'all need more?
I'm gonna need a little more time to
Need more time?
digest all this, yeah. I'm not against it necessarily, but.
I kind of feel like we're lucky to do what we're doing.
Exactly. Down the road, thank God I won't be here. There's gonna have to be some serious decisions made about health care for regular.
Even just the county
retirees. I mean,
paying the whole amount.
with health care rising, it's not pretty.
No. We good?
We're good.
I have one last question. Do you know whenever these counties have phased out the coverage, like they were doing, say they were doing what we're doing now, how do they phase it out? Do they grandfather everybody up to a certain amount?
If you're hired before a certain date, you're still covered under that, and that's the way it's written in our policy as well.
So you're still gonna have those ongoing costs for the next
Next
long
25
time.
or 30 years.
Yeah. But it'll eventually phase out.
Well, all the benefits are all a big combination together that you evaluate, not one or this one, but how they all fit together. So that's kind of what I want to think about.
Have we ever looked at outside agent as far as insurance goes, for the county employees?
Have we done what?
Look outside for somebody to insure county employees other than self-insured?
We did, we went,
Plans.
we did this year, we talked with several different groups this year. We didn't steer away from the self-funded option. And that may be something that we need to look at. I think we're gonna evaluate with our new broker over the next year or two to see if this is what's gonna benefit the county in the long run.
Was it higher this year compared to outside? Yeah, that's what you run into.
Compared to the
There was-
outside, other
well,
options?
Yeah, there was a 8 to 10% increase across the board everywhere. Even the state health plan increased 10% this year. Yeah.
We factored 8% in our budget.
Good. Anything for a great report? Take us to the planning board appointee, Lydia.
We received an application from Jaden Hall for the planning board. I believe there's still one vacant position remaining for the Snow Creek Township. So if you guys would like to nominate that application today, you can. And then we would wait 2 weeks just to see if any other applications came in. And
But there is another opening for that council.
there is an opening. It's
Even
they
if we
don't-
do this guy, there's still one more, right?
Yeah, available.
No, I don't believe
There's only
so.
one
This is
position.
the only position available.
But this fills it up.
It would fill up the planning
Oh,
board,
okay.
correct, Brian?
That's
That is
correct.
how yes.
Okay.
This is
That's
the
good.
only vacancy that is left on the planning
Okay.
board, so.
I just want to clarify that.
I can tell you from serving on the planning board, getting people to do it is like pulling our teeth. And getting somebody to do it that's 23 years old, this is amazing.
Yep. That's really good for somebody that wants, that young, that's willing to take an interest in it and to want to help.
How long you been
Volunteer
at, how long
for
this
it.
vacancy been there? 2 or 3 months?
I'm trying to remember,
This is the position that Tori.
Yeah, that's correct.
Right, okay, I couldn't remember which one. Yeah, so it's been a few months.
We can approve him at the next meeting and then
We
he'll
can
be
nominate
active
him, you
immediately.
can nominate him today and then
And he'll be active immediately after the next.
after
meeting.
his appointment,
Yeah,
yes.
okay,
So if you'd like to nominate.
Nominate Jaden Hall.
All.
right. All.
All right, thank you very much.
And that takes us to the action agenda.
So the first item on the action agenda is the fiscal year 26-27 pay and benefits policy amended to move the DSS director position to G24, which is also where the health director is. Is that correct?
Got a motion?
Motion to approve along with that change.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And then the second item on the action agenda is the updated personnel policy, which we also had an amendment, instead of department heads accruing, was it vacation? Or
Yeah, it's for vacation.
For vacation.
Accrual, changing from,
for having three or more
exemption
to,
from
yeah,
3 or more to all department heads.
so all department heads.
Make a motion to approve.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
That's all for our action agenda.
So, take us to closed session.
We'll be going into closed session for the following rationale: to consider the initial employment or appointment of any individual to any office or position other than a vacancy on the Board of County Commissioners or any other public body, or to consider the qualifications, competence, performance, character, and fitness of any public officer or employee other than the Board of Commissioners or some other public body pursuant to General Statute 143-318.11A6.
Motion to go in close.
Make a motion to go in closed session.
Second.
In closed session. Take about a 5-minute recess.
Please.
Right. Thank you.
I need to trade seats. I need a different seat.
You know what?
I can't sit with Brian anymore.
All in favor?
Who seconded? I can't sit with you anymore.
He's second.
Well, yeah.